Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast episode number 1. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. Now, if you guys have been listening to my podcast for the past 2 years or so, I, discussed a lot of things that are going on in the world and all of the things that are to come. And I, went against the grain for quite a long time, and I did enjoy doing it, but I felt that I was at a place where it was time for me to change the landscape of my podcast and to really start talking about my journey as an author, a writer, things I do to motivate myself, way to stay inspired, focusing on goals, and also, talking about my books and how I wrote them, why I wrote them, things like that. So I will still be talking about world affairs, but it'll be more of through my books and through the social issues that I've written about for the past, I would say, 4.5 years. I'm approaching 5 pretty soon. I will be posting podcasts 3 days a week now. There will be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you guys will be getting a treat with what I'm doing in regards to my podcast. So Mondays will be Mondays with Mellow. That will be, just things that are on my mind and things that are going on probably in the moment, or projects that I'm working on, projects that I have worked on, whatever the case is. Wednesdays will be motivation and inspiration, talking about how to stay motivated and inspired through, trying to accomplish your goals and trying to get to where you need to be. If you guys have listened to my podcast for however long you have, at the end of my podcast, I say be good and go accomplish your goals. And it's something that I will continue to say, even through all of the madness that has been going on in this world, unfortunately. And, 2021 is going to be another year where it's going to be, full of challenges for everyone. So I want you guys to be prepared for that. And I, hope that you guys weren't saying I want 2020 to be over, because within the first 10 days of this new year, look what happened in Washington, D.C. So that's all I'll say to that. Fridays will be my book insight, where I will, talk about all of the books, that I have written. I have the Struggles and Growth of a Man series, the Code Blue series, the World We Live In series, Kids with Guns series, and then I have a few standalones such as America Under Mind Control, America, a Country Divided, The World in Ruins, The Man Who Lost His Soul, living life to the fullest. And I'm quite sure I'm missing like maybe 1 or 2 other books, because I've written so many, so I've kind of lost track of what I've written so far. So I've written 27 to date as I'm speaking. Number 28 will be coming in the coming weeks. February 28th will make 5 years I've been writing books. So if you're listening to this for the first time, I'm quite sure it's like a shocker that I've written so many books in such a short amount of time. But I always feel like, the more content you put out, and, the more it kind of, draws attention to what you're doing and what you're, trying to accomplish. My goal is to write 60 books, and I definitely have, all of those books planned out up to that point. And then, I will, start to rethink of where I'm going with, my future and, things of that nature. I also have a clothing line that I, I'm, working on, pushing out also. So somewhere along the lines, throughout this podcast, you'll hear me talk about that. So I have a lot going on, and, doing this podcast, is just another outlet. A lot of you guys are audio people, and I appreciate you guys. And I do have audiobooks. 4 of my books are in audio format. So that's another thing I'll be working on this year, is to get, more of my books in audio format also. Those will be, on my website. Those are not going to be posted all over Amazon. Amazon already takes enough money from me when I make my book sales. So just kind of going to give you guys a heads up on that. So today, this is obviously today's Monday, so it's Mondays with Mello. And I thought of this idea really to get you guys to know me more as an author and more of what goes on with me. My goal is to, share as much content that I'm working on. My goals, like I said, the projects I'm working on daily, and a plethora of other things. I'm going to honestly, tell you that I'm going to share my truths, my hardships, failures, just everything that I've gone through in this journey since I've, started, writing, books, and since I've started, working on this podcast. I'm definitely going to share a lot of what goes on in my mind, and, the do's and don'ts of, an author. And as I go along and do these podcasts on a weekly basis, if I, start to learn of new things, I'll definitely let you guys know. I will, definitely share, some pointers on if you want to become an author, if you want to write a book. I'm in the process of working with two good friends right now that are, focused on wanting to write books, and they want to make that, a goal of theirs. I have a friend that wants to write a book and wants to write scripts. I've written, some scripts that I've submitted to, to Hollywood on a smaller scale. So I've done that too. So I'm going to be sharing that also. So honestly, let's talk about my writing journey today, because I feel it's very important. So a few years ago, I was a basketball referee, and I'm always on the go, always moving around. That's when, I was probably at my most fit and my most healthiest. And I honestly burned out. I was working for a sports league, working at the corporate office, and also refereeing basketball. And I got to a point where I needed to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. A vacation to Los Angeles kind of, got my mind free of like all the pressures of life. I got away from New York, where I was living at the time, and I started to, really think of what my journey should be, and I really kind of, entrenched myself in the LA scene, and did the whole spiel. Roscoe's, In-N-Out, Venice Beach. I did all the LA stuff that you're supposed to do. Hollywood Walk of Fame, all that stuff. Hollywood Walk of Fame gave me the opportunity to really think about what I wanted to do in my life, and God told me that I needed to write. And when I got back home, I, really was inspired. That airplane ride home really got me in my flow of what I wanted to do. And when I got home, I started to think about how I was going to write these books. I didn't want to write my books in a traditional format, because I did try that in the past and I did not succeed. And I am a poetry writer. I am a poet. So I figured if I can combine social issues and poetry, I'd be able to write stories and be able to get out, what's on my mind for the most part. So my books, to give you the heads up, are written in a prose format. It's not written in like the traditional format of a book that you would normally pick up and read. So I always give people the heads up, so when they do, decide to inquire about my books, they're seeing a different format that's written out. Some people find it challenging to read a book. Some people find it easier to read. So, some people will be happy and some people won't. So I've been writing poetry since I was 13 years old. I was the sing-songy, rhyming poet for a long time, until, I I became an adult and started, writing, more of in a prose format to where I'm, telling a story about my life and who I am and what I'm about. On my Instagram, which is Aquarian Mellow, you will see I post poems every once in a while of things that are going on in my head or things that are going on in the world. And, it's just to get my thoughts out. I have so many things written and stashed away and things of that nature, things that I've written years ago that, are no longer, no longer around because I was writing that in the moment. But, I've been writing for quite a long time. And, I started writing The Struggles and Growth of a Man. That was the first book that I wrote. It was never going to be a series, but it turned into a 5-book series. And it is my favorite series that I've written because it tackles men's issues that we go through, the social stigmas, the expectations of what we should be in this world. And as I get into my book Insight and I start talking about that series, I'll, really kind of go in depth into, my goals behind writing, that book series, why, and, how much, Robert is a lot of me in a nutshell. So to be brutally honest, writing has been my outlet, in a lot of ways. I've written a lot of books to where a lot of stuff has come to fruition, unfortunately. And those are the more deeper issue books like Kids with Guns and, The World in Ruins, things of that nature. Those books will get discussed, down the road. I have a lot of books to discuss. So in the coming weeks, you guys will really get to know how I write these books, why, and, my goals behind these books, because every book that I've written has a message, and that's my intention every time I sit down and start to write these books. So the greatest part about me reshaping my podcast is, like I said, I will be posting podcasts 3 times a week, and I live in warmer climate these days. I'll put it to you that way. I'm on the West Coast now, so and I have a lot of quiet time, so I will definitely have opportunities to really engage with you guys and really get to write out a lot of my books now, and really get to jump on here and do these podcasts for you guys. And that's pretty much it. Wednesdays will be my motivation and inspiration. And I will, really, delve into how you guys can get going in regards to your goals and things of that nature. So with that said, that's my podcast for today. I just wanted to jump on here, and, get the ball rolling with my revamped podcast content, what I'm focused on, and the direction that I'm heading in, starting in 2021. We're going to make this a great year. I'm going to keep you guys going as best as I can. And, feel free to reach out to me on my website, which is aquarianmindwrites.com. So it's aquarianmindwrites.com. I will definitely, leave my website, in the description, and you guys can, find me there. And you guys can reach out to me on the contact form if you guys, want to, begin your journey of, writing a book, or, any sort of goals that you may have. For me, I always stay, positive, and I always know that, somewhere along the lines, I'm going to get to where I need to be. And I know that my goals are bigger than anything that I've ever had in my life. With that said, I'm gone. Be good, everyone, and go and accomplish your goals.